So soon we were ready to open, and it was fully stocked, it was ready to go. And thankfully my dad took a picture of us inside the Sari store because of course they just thought it was adorable. You know, imagine just little kids opening their own little store, and it just looks so cute. So I'll share that picture here so you guys can see my sister and I in our little Sari-sari store. Hey YouTube, kamusta? It's Kevin from Kevin in the Philippines. It is a beautiful kind of overcast day today, so I thought I'd go out and take a walk outside our house here and tell you another fun story, hopefully entertaining story, about something that happened to me when I was a kid growing up in Batangas. Before I get into that though, again, if you're new here, if we haven't met yet, I'm Kevin. I grew up in the Philippines and I live here now kind of part-time. And I love sharing stories about just stuff that happened to me when I was growing up in the Philippines. Sometimes exciting, sometimes personal. Sometimes they're things that were dangerous, but hopefully always entertaining. And yeah, I'm just gonna go for a walk here. It is overcast, it's kind of cloudy, but that's a great time to go out for a walk because you don't get too much sun on you and it's not too hot. It is humid as always though, so of course I'm always kind of like perspiring. Today's story takes place back around 1985, 1986, and again the setting is we're back in Batangas City. And around this time I think I was about 9 years old. And the story is about the time that my sister and I made our own Sari-sari store. And if you don't know what a Sari-sari store is, it's just a small little stand of a store that sells little items. It's spelled Sari-sari, not Sorry. And that's because in Tagalog, sari-sari is like a variety of things you can buy. And of course, my sister and I, as kids, quickly discovered what these stores were, and we wanted to buy things from them like soft drinks, candy, you name it, chips. And what's great about a Sari-sari store is it's one of the few places I can think of where you can buy one item of something. So for example, in the US or Western countries, if you want to buy a piece of gum, you have to buy a whole pack of gum, right? You can't just buy one stick of gum, but at a Sari-sari store, you can usually buy just one stick of gum, one mint candy, one cigarette, even though I don't smoke. So it's just this really cool place to buy things, and as a kid, of course, we were fascinated by that concept, and especially if you only had a few pesos, a few little coins, it was a perfect place to go. Well, as you might expect, if you've watched any of my other videos, it did not take long for my little creative mind to start to wander, and I started thinking about how cool it would be if I could make my own Sari-sari store. And so I probably talked to my sister about it being very enterprising that we were at that age. And we both decided that, yeah, this would be a great idea. Let's build our own Sari-sari store. So that's what we decided to do. And the first thing that we needed to do was construct the actual building. And fortunately at that point, I think I had already built a tree house with my dad, which is a story in another video. So I had a little bit of basic carpentry skills, the rudimentary skills you might have as a kid. But my dad showed me how to, nail stuff together and saw things with a saw, and that was just very handy anyway. So the first thing we needed to do was build this building, and so I needed to collect a bunch of materials, just little scraps that were laying around the subdivision where we lived. So I got clobbered together little pieces of metal and wood, and I'm a kid, so no one really cared that I was dragging pieces of construction materials. But here in the Philippines, there very often is a lot of kind of discarded discarded pieces of metal and wood and building materials, because there's always construction going on. There's a house under construction right now, right behind me. Putting together a building, of course, is only one small step. You also have to manage the store as a profitable business, which I'll get into later. But yeah, we weren't very good at that part. And by the way, just for clarification, this little Sari-sari store that we were putting together really was like the equivalent today of what you might call a lemonade stand. So you know how like when you were a kid, maybe you did this when you were a kid, or one of your friends or family members did, but you know, you put together a little lemonade stand and it's at the side of the road and people stopped and bought lemonade and gave you a few bucks. So I promise that with this store that we ended up building it was never that big. And the Philippine government had nothing to worry about in terms of profits, taxes, or anything like that. But anyway, it was a big deal to us, you know, to my sister and I. It was a huge deal. And by the way, while I'm walking on this road, I'm going to stop and show you any Sari-sari stores that I pass, because they're everywhere. And they're just so convenient. So a lot of them just pop up. And you'll see them everywhere when you're walking around. Okay, so we needed to build the building. I clobbered together the materials, but we need a place to set up the building. And so we looked around and we realized that there was this empty lot next to the lot that our house was in, that my mom and dad had rented. And so that was going to be the perfect place. There was like a wall, you know, a low wall around the property, and then an empty lot next to this lot that we were living in. So we picked that spot, and of course right up next to the road, so that, you know, everybody could see the store and they could come out and try to buy stuff from us. So I clobbered together the materials, we picked a spot, I put the building together, and it was kind of fun to do. You even had kind of like window grills on the front that was kind of protection against people, you know, stealing it. I just copied the other Sari-sari stores that I saw in my neighborhood, and they all seemingly have that grill in the front, and you can see the products through the grill, but you can't just walk up and take them easily. Some people even go a step further and put like chicken wire in front of the grill. Anyway, so the building's put together. We needed to stock the store with all of our goods that we were going to sell. And fortunately, my mom, who was so cool, saw how serious this was. You know, my sister and I were just really determined to be entrepreneurs, and we treated this so seriously. So bless her heart, she took us to a grocery store, like a big grocery store that had a bunch of supplies, and she bought us all the things we would need for the store. Like I said, the chips, the candy, I don't remember soft drinks, maybe that was there, but simple stuff, you know, simple stuff that kids could sell. And so we had everything we needed. We were fully stocked. And now we're getting really excited, right? And there was another thing that happened, which was, I believe, maybe my sister can back me up on this, that there was a serious conversation had between my mom and my sister and I. And it was like, hey, if I'm going to buy this stuff for you guys and you're going to have a real store, you got to treat it seriously. This is not stuff for you to just eat or give away. You've got to actually sell it. So I just remember that it was kind of like a lesson, you know. It was like, yeah, you can have a store, but you got to run it properly, you know, as much as 8-year-olds could. How thoughtful of my mom to, you know, give us the chance to be able to live our dream. And she just put her heart into it as well, because she saw how important it was to my sister and I. So soon we were ready to open, and it was fully stocked, it was ready to go. And thankfully my dad took a picture of us inside the Sari store, because of course they just thought it was adorable. You know, imagine just little kids opening their own little store, and it just looks so cute. So I'll share that picture here so you guys can see my sister and I in our little Sari-sari store. What followed, I promise you, was several days or weeks of great mismanagement. Because we didn't know what we were doing, of course, and we were just having fun. And again, think of the lemonade stand comparison, guys. Again, no profits were ever made. And we eventually closed. Did you see that coming? We did not end up growing and expanding and becoming a great establishment. But I do remember that it was a great feeling of accomplishment. And I remember thinking, wow, we did it. You know, we opened our own Sari-sari store and we sold things and our friends were there buying stuff from us, and we just had fun. We had a blast. So, you know, when I think back to what we accomplished at that age, that was pretty cool. It was pretty neat that someone as young as 7 and 8-year-old kids could actually open their own store and run it. Again, it wasn't profitable, but it was opened. When we finally closed and we were done, oh, I'm gonna turn around here and head back because I'm at the busy road here. When we finally closed the Sari-sari store and it was time to call it quits, I do remember I had like a huge collection of coins, because a lot of people bought their items with just little peso coins, you know. And back then, of course, there was a lot more centavos being used too. So we had 1 peso coins, 50 centavos, 25 centavos, we called them benchincos. Anyway, so there were all these coins, and I just remember proudly presenting these coins to my mom. Like, look what we made, here's our profits. I don't think I used the term profits though. I probably just said, look at all the money we made, Mom. But no one did the math to see if a profit was made. So that was just a funny moment though. At least the coins showed that the venture wasn't a total loss, right? Oh no, it's starting to rain. This is the overcast clouds usually give you a hint that, you know, some rain might be coming, but I'll wrap up the story. If there was a takeaway for this video, it would be, if you've got kids or grandkids or somebody you know who is young and expressing interest in starting a business, consider encouraging them. Give them a shot. Let them know that you think that their idea is cool, and let them see how far they can take it. Because I think letting kids do things like that at a young age definitely leads to them being entrepreneurial later in life. And I think if you encourage them at that age, just like we were encouraged at that age, it'll give them a sense of courage to try something later in life. So anyway, I'll always be grateful for that, and I'm sure it impacted me even in a small way. And later in life, I was probably encouraged to be able to venture out and do something in a business capacity with maybe a little less fear. All right, so yeah, at a young age, encourage kids, especially if they're showing interest in something like a form of business or what have you. Okay, that is going to do it for this story today. Hope you had fun. I hope the motorcycles going by weren't too distracting. I always have fun telling these stories about life in the Philippines, and I'm going to keep sharing. So if you like this story, do me a favor, give it a thumbs up, give it a like, and consider subscribing, and I'll be sharing more stories in the coming days and weeks as I continue to grow this YouTube channel. And your like and subscribe will actually help me a lot, so thank you for that. That's going to close out the story about the Sari-sari store. And I thank you for watching as always, and I'll say mabuhay. Bye, guys.